I've just received a parcel which is from an Alan Tether Quilting Limited, and I found him. I was looking to see any fabric shops locally, and this guy is from Hartlepool, and he does quilting fabrics. All these fabrics, I thought, well, I'm going to buy from him because he's quite local, and he puts things on Instagram. I think he's not long open now, or he's just got onto Instagram, and basically he hasn't got many followers, and I just thought, well, I'm going to get some fabric from him. So let's open it and see what's in. So he's given me a little booklet called Orifil. Oh, that's interesting because it's got all the different Orifil threads. Welcome to Orifil, and that would be an interesting read. This must be his note from him, and little all about the threads that you can get from Orifil. I know a lot of you are quite interested in. Some of you do buy Orifil, and this is quite an interesting little purchase. Oh, and this is quite good because look, it tells you all the different things you use it for and what threads to go for. Now that is really, really good. Very interesting. And there it is on the back. Now his little note, he's got that Alan Tether Quilting, and he has given me the invoice. Thank you for your order. I hope you enjoy your fabric. I got 4 pieces. They were 2 fat quarters each. I'm going to make 2 purses with them if they turn out being nice. One's a plain navy, and it cost me £31.80 altogether. And he's given me some cards. Alan Tether Quilting, professional quilter. He actually quilts for you. If you want anything quilted, he will quilt for you, and that's his address and that's his details. So let's open the packet and see what's there. And he's nicely tied it up with fabric ribbon, just some spare fabric that they have, which is nice, ties in nicely the colour actually. I quite like that. And this is what I bought. I bought this fabric. Now I was aware, I liked that, but I was aware that obviously the direction of the fabric's going to run like that, and if I'm doing a purse I might have an issue, so I might reconsider that and keep it for something else. Then I got little flowers for the inside of the purse, for the pockets, and I also got navy, which is navy, and then I got this one, and I think this is going to be the same. It's one directional. In fact, they're both going to be one directional, but I like both of them, so I think I'll make it work. I do like that. That's lovely, that. Paul Liberty Flower Show Winter Collection, which is that one. Then Bancaro Fresca Liberty Winterborn Collection. I think it's that one. So it's like the Liberty fabrics. And then Bella Solids by that's Moda Navy. And this is Indigo Gatherings by Primitive Gatherings for Moda. So those are the 4 colours. I really am looking forward to making a purse for them. Happy 8th of December, everybody. It's lovely to see you all. I know we've been having some tough times. Times are getting tougher in America, I gather. We are seeing a slight light at the end of the tunnel because vaccinations are going out now. I think they've reckoned they may have done about 5,000 today, which is not a great amount, but it's quite a lot for considering, you know, people are starting to feel that something's happening. Anyway, I'm going to change that because we don't want to talk about that today. I'm going to very quickly answer some questions because Janice, do you remember I said about the coffee, the heater for the coffee cup? Well, a lot of you came back and told me that you either had one or you knew somebody who had one and that they're really good. And somebody said, well, why don't you put it in the microwave? Well, I don't put it in the microwave because we don't have a microwave, and we don't feel, our kids come to the house ever since when they came with babies that say, can I just sterilise the bottle in the microwave and would say, well, I haven't got one. And they'd say, well, where's your microwave gone? Because we used to have one. It's not that we didn't have one. And we said, well, we didn't see the point. And they were going, well, how am I gonna disinfect the baby's bottles? And I'm going the same way as we used to before they had microwaves. We'll use boiling water and, you know, and I've got sterilising tablets and so on. And they went, really? Is that what you did? So anyway, the reason why we don't have let's say the reason why we have not got a microwave is because the one that we had, I think it was microwave number 3, conked out on us, and it conked out in a strange way. I was doing jacket potatoes. We used to like jacket potatoes, and for speed we did them in the microwave, and I pricked the jacket potatoes and put them into the microwave. 3, I think 2 or 3 big ones. And at that time he was up in his room and I wanted to go and ask him something, so I set the microwave away and then I went upstairs to talk to him. And as I came downstairs, I must have been talking to him for 5 or 10 minutes, and the potatoes had to be in the microwave, I can't remember, for 15 minutes or something, I can't remember, but particularly here. So I then came downstairs and opened the kitchen door to a load of smoke, and I thought, what on earth's gone on here? And when it was coming from the microwave, and when I opened the microwave door, the one door rather, it wasn't like that, opened the one door, there was 2 or 3 charred potatoes, complete charcoal inside. And I called his lordship and I said, come down here. I said, I've just put these in and look what's happening. They'd actually burnt to cinder. I wasn't in the room to see what had happened, but obviously they caught fire. Why they caught fire, how they caught fire, I don't know. It was the same procedure as we'd always done for jacket potatoes. So completely burnt the whole of the microwave out, and we just decided bin it, and we'll not get another one because we don't really need it. So that's the reason why I don't use the microwave. Now then, the next one was Hazel said, haha, you'd be better off getting a thermal mug. I have one and they're brilliant. It keeps the coffee hot for ages, which is good when I'm playing and I forget I have a coffee sitting there. Now I have thermal coffee cups, but I don't like the taste of the plastic. When I used to go up to look after my grandson, setting off at the crack of dawn, I'd make a cup of coffee and put it in one of those thermal cups and put it in the car. And as I was driving up, I'd have a drink, and it was still hot by the time I got up there, which takes about an hour to get up there. And I'd sit and have it, park up somewhere and finish it off. But I didn't like the taste of the plastic, so I tend to like it more out. And I don't like porcelain. I don't like those thick pot type cups. I like porcelain type mugs, not a little one, but I like a nice mug that's porcelain type. So yeah, I still have a thermal one, but I like it for when I'm in the car, but not for when I'm in the house. Karen Lowe's was saying about this. She said, this Pom Pom Maker, she says, I'm guessing, but wouldn't you wrap the in and out in a figure of 8 and then tie in the middle? Well, I don't know. I'm going to have to check that up, Karen. I don't know. I just assumed you'd wrap it round and round and round and then tie through here, tie it through there, and then use your scissors to cut along there. Perhaps you do a figure of 8. I don't know, but we'll find out. I'll have a look on the website and see if I can find out how you do it. Kathy Fish was telling me about unaccompanied children when I was telling you, reading about Norfolk, and I was telling you about how children were kidnapped or taken from England to America in the 1600s. Kathy Fish said unaccompanied children were still being sent abroad in the 60s. There's a book about it called Lost Children of the Empire. It's tough reading, so I should wait until after Christmas to read it though. So that stimulated my interest, and I will read that after Christmas. It sounded quite a good book. I want to find out as much as I can about it. Angela 10226 said, wow, I don't care how many rooms there are, you won't get me to pay $250,000 for one of those houses. Like you said, they are too close together. My son and his wife are buying 3 acres and building a house on it, and the cost is nowhere near that. You're the only person I've ever heard say that they bit the inside of their cheek. I do that, and the bad thing is that once I do it the first time, I generally do it 4 to 5 times. Well, yesterday I kept biting my cheek, and I have up in my top, I have a wisdom tooth that's come out, and instead of going downwards like that, instead of going downwards like that, it's slightly off center. So this part of the tooth catches the inside of my mouth sometimes. It doesn't happen very often, but it does maybe it's once a year or twice a year. And it did last night. I kept biting, I kept chewing the inside of my cheek. And like she says, it only happens about 3 or 4 times. And then it stopped. I haven't had it happen again. Renee Slav said, I'm glad you do post your videos. I do enjoy watching and look forward to yours especially. The $1 million homes are nice, but the lots are tiny for that kind of money. I'd agree with you. Also, for $1 million, I would want a swimming pool. Didn't see any swimming pools. Well, the big expensive ones that were about £6 to £8 million, they would have had an enclosed swimming pool, and we passed one that had tennis courts. But when you see a swimming pool in America with and France with the open air swimming pool with, you know, sunshine and beautiful weather, that's lovely. But England, if you had an outside swimming pool in England, I reckon you'd probably swim in it for about 2 months, if that, because we get such changeable weather. The English are renowned for talking about the weather, and the reason why they talk about the weather is because every day is different. I was amazed when my sister's lived in France since she was 26, I think, and she's now 76. And when we used to go and visit her, she'd say, tomorrow the weather looks good, we'll take you out for a picnic, we'll go and do this, we'll go and do that. And I kept saying, you wouldn't be able to do that in England, because you'd have to look and say, well, in the morning it's going to be sunny, so we better get out for a couple of hours because you're going to get rain in the afternoon. It's very changeable. You can go out and in the morning you can have lousy weather, then you can have nice weather getting better, and then lousy weather at the end of the day. Everything is variable in England, and so that is why we always talk about the weather. It's also cold. By our standards it's cold, and in fact 10 years ago, just to let you know, 10 years ago, 2 weeks ago, His Lordship and I were celebrating our 60th birthday party, and we had a gig. We booked a hotel, and we had, I think I've told you this before so I won't go on about it, we booked a hotel and he played in his band for the first time ever. And the week that we had it, the snow was coming down. It was really, really getting thick with snow. Had we had that party the week after, we wouldn't have been able to have it, because the snow was coming down so thick that England ground to a halt. And it ground to a halt until January, till about the 2nd week in January. Well, we haven't had any snow yet. We've had an attempt to snow a couple of days ago, but we haven't had any snow yet. It's been a lot of rain, and as I say, the weather is very variable. So this time 10 years ago it was snowing. Ridge said, Ridge Reich, your students must have adored you. Well, I've got many a tale to tell you about my students. They used to like me teaching them, because they think very quickly. One day I'll tell you a lot of stories about it, but I lived only a matter of yards away from the school that I taught at, and it was the same school that I went to. It was a grammar school when I went there, and so when I ended up teaching in it, I was actually amongst the teachers that used to teach me, and it changed into a high school from a grammar school. And so when the parents' evening came, the parents were sometimes the kids. I hadn't realised, but when the parents' evening came, I would recognise the parents, because they were either people who I used to go to school with, or they were people who were in the first year of me teaching, and I knew who they were. And they'd say, has he been behaving himself? And I'd say, and the kid would be there, and I'd say, well, if he hasn't, I'll be straight round to tell you about him. So people knew me, and so I tended to get a better deal with them. Louise Mayer says, what is a toasty? You said you stopped and ate it in the car. Yesterday we went to shopping, as I said, and then we went to Costa Coffee, and we bought ourselves a toasty. You couldn't sit in, So, and it was a bit damp outside, so we said, oh, we'll go and sit and eat in the car. We bought a toasty each, and we bought a coffee, a cappuccino each. The toasty is 2 slices of bread. His had lobster, something with lobster in. Mine was cheese and a slice of ham with a slice of bread on top. And then on the top of the slice of bread was some cheese as well. And then that's put into this grill place. And I don't know what they do. It's put into the grill and it comes out all brown on the top. There's only cheese on one side, not on the underneath. But it's got cheese on there, cheese and ham in the middle. And that's a toasty. And the toasty is like a square of bread. It's about the size of that book. And it's, so we sat and ate a toasty. So let's get on to the boxes, and the boxes are here. Hemline first. We'll get the numbers right this time. It's a very long thin one. This is number 8 here. That could be long one, almost like a book. Don't know if you can see, really long one. So we'll get that out. And you also like the way that I can't read what it says. So it's very blurred. So this is a long one, and I'll open that up, and I've got to get in focus. EO Fins Cook Peas. EO Fins Cook Peas. Oh, so fun gel pen. Oh, that's an interesting one with a thimble on the end, and it's one of those gel pens. I haven't got one of these. I think they're for writing on fabric. You'll no doubt tell me if they're not. I think they're for marking on fabric, like that. And I believe that it either comes off with heat or otherwise. Does it tell me anything about it? EO Thins, no, it doesn't. Basically a little pen that you write. And I would imagine, as I say, it doesn't come off with water, so I think it'll be heat that it possibly comes off with. But we'll try that sometime in January and let you see. So that's a pen. Time for the L'Occitane. Number 8. Where is number 8? Ah, there's number. Oh, it's a biggish one. I bet it's probably a tube again. Can you see anything? Oh, soap. Soap. L'Occitane soap. Extra gentle soap. Don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? Milk extra gentle soap. And I shall open it up to let you see. Let's see. Every one I've done, I've gone, oh. Extra gentle soap. Just a soap. A plate. It's like a hotel type soap, really. And it's got the word Occitane. What is it? Moulded on. I don't know if you can see that. So yes, a little bar of soap that'll go in the kitchen, not in the kitchen, in the bathroom. I use liquid soap to wash my face with. He uses this kind of soap. He loves this kind of soap. So he will be smelling rather nice. So that's that one. Now then, on to the favourite one. Haha, you like this? I certainly got a few of you looking and watching that video last night because I put naked man on. I think you were all expecting to see his lordship with nothing on, but no, you don't want to do that. Definitely don't want to do that. This is called the Dead Department Store Santa Claus. And this is Lestrade who's talking first. I'd talk to the missus if I were you, Holmes. In my opinion, this pisshead ruined his ticker with too much booze. He was a heavy drinker and a nasty piece of work by all accounts. Lestrade had come to that conclusion. Oh, Mr. Holmes, see? I don't understand what all the fuss is about. Stan got back from his 12-hour shift as a department store Santa at about 9 o'clock. Completely pickled he was, you know. He threw some coals on the fire and I made him his hot toddy and off I went to bed. I wasn't expecting him to follow me up or anything. He usually falls asleep in his chair when he's sloshed. And when I came down in the morning about 2 hours ago, there he was, still sat in his chair, dead as a doornail. It's all that drink, Mr. Holmes, all those beatings. The dear Lord sees all." Holmes shot the newly fledged widow, Mrs. Miller, an inquiring look as he proceeded to work his way around the sparsely furnished living room. And he was looking and taking it all in. It was lacking in grandeur, sunk in thought. He nearly burned his hand when he leant against the brick mantelpiece above the small fireplace. It was roasting, although the fire had gone out hours ago. Holmes closely examined a glass cabinet standing by the window, which contained a humble collection of family trinkets, including the cheap crystalware and ordinary pressed glass which had misted over. Small water drops were running down the sides. The master of the house was still in his armchair, which looked almost as decrepit as he did. A half-empty glass of rum stood on the side table in front of him, with fine flakes swimming up on top. Ash, most likely, that otherwise could only be found in the fireplace. Holmes looked at Mrs. Miller again. He studied her weary-looking face, blemished by a swollen cheek and a weeping, wounded eye, with a dark violet bruise. Their eyes met so intently for one pointed moment that it almost seemed as if they had managed to hold a silent conversation and come to an agreement. "Sudden cardiac arrest, Lestrade. This time, though it pains me to say so, I happen to agree with you." Is there anything to discuss there? I'll tell you at the end about what happens. Kimball. I had a message from Faye Kimball and she says, "Please forgive an unsolicited email, but there is no other way to post you on YouTube a photo, and the attached picture shows far more clearly than words of the differences between what makes up Great Britain, the United Kingdom and the British Isles. I, for one, even as a fully paid up Brit living in France, I'm jealous. I'm very jealous, Faye. Didn't know which was which. Pretty shameful, really. And when she actually said this, I didn't know. I was telling you the other day certain things about England, and I didn't know that this applied. Likewise, I bet your overseas American followers would be interested to learn which is which. So I'm going to show you this because I'm hoping you can see this. This is on my iPad. And basically, that is Great Britain, and Great Britain is England, Scotland and Wales. United Kingdom is England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. And the British Isles is Scotland, England, Wales, Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland. I didn't know. I always thought the British Isles was just the islands that were part of everywhere except for the south of Ireland. So I wonder if any of you, there's bound to be somebody who says, I knew that, but I didn't. I didn't know that the British Isles was all of it. I would have thought the British Isles was, I would have thought that was the British Isles, but it's not. So there you go. That's a good answer there. She also went on to say about the Channel Isles, oh, and just to complicate matters, I looked up the ownership of the Channel Islands. It seems they're divided into two British Crown dependencies, the Bailiwicks of Guernsey and Jersey. The islands are not part of the United Kingdom or the EU, but rather are possessions of the British Crown with independent administrations. Their inhabitants are British citizens. The Channel Islands were owned by the Duchy of Normandy, that's part of France, and passed to the English crown when William the Conqueror became King of England in 1066. While England lost mainland Normandy in 1204, the islands remained possessions of the crown and were divided into the two bailiwicks later that century. As they say, not a lot of people know that. Well, I didn't know that, and I'm sure a lot of you in England didn't know that the Channel Islands are, well, I know that they're a separate entity because I know that a lot of English people put their money into Jersey and Guernsey because they know that when their money's there, they can't pay tax, the government can't claim taxes for them. Anyway, she was saying she loves my vlogs. Her mum was a Geordie from South Shields. Would love to learn how you sew stretchy fabrics. I'm far too inexperienced to even try. So I did say I'm going to do a little video on stretchy fabrics after Christmas. And now we come to our map of the British Isles. Now I've already done a little bit for you. In fact, I might even bring that forward and put it in here to let you see. The British Isles, and the date is the 8th, so we have to find number 8. Well, I'm looking forward to tomorrow because it'll be number 9, number 9, number 9, and number 8 is da 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 Stonehenge. I've been to Stonehenge. I saw it, I was quite impressed by it, and Stonehenge is number 8, and that is right on the south coast here. Number 8, Stonehenge. Construction of this prehistoric ring of standing stones is believed to have taken place from 3000 BC to 2000 BC. There are 83 stones, many of which weigh around 25 tons. Evidence shows that the site was used as a burial ground, but it was also believed to be a place of healing or a type of calendar linked to the sun. So, on to Sherlock. Now, Sherlock has said he died of a heart attack. So, what's to be said about the answer? And the answer is... he turned to Watson and he said, this was when he was back at home. No, my dear Watson, that poor woman has suffered enough. Unfortunate creatures like her shouldn't have to face the executioner, especially not at this time of the year. But you would do well to light a candle for Mrs. Miller the next time you visit St. Paul's. You see, Watson, and I'm assuming you will treat this confidentially. The fire had been out for several hours, yet the fireplace was still hot in the morning. Therefore, there must have been a mighty cold fire the night before. Would it be reasonable to assume Mrs. Miller's drunken husband whiled away the wee hours, turning his humble home into an oven? I think not. Here we have fact number 1. Behind the panelled glass of a small cabinet, I found the glassware to be wet and misted up, as one might expect on a cold surface. But in such a warm room, it must have been far colder in there beforehand for the glasses to cool down and the vapour to condense. The cold climate was obviously preserved in the cabinet for longer than in the rest of the room. Fact number 2. And finally, fact number 3, there was a pile of ashes in the fireplace, and flakes of ash were also found some distance away in the rum glass of the deceased. Fly ash, but nowhere else. If the ash could reach the glass full of rum, the chimney must have been drawing badly. Maybe the flue was closed. Why then did we not find ash scattered round the fireplace? Now, Watson, what does this tell us? The drunkard is obviously left to fall asleep in his chair. His wife enters the room, heaps coal on the fire and closes the flue in the chimney. The drunkard is obviously left to fall asleep in his chair. Then his wife enters the room, heaps coal onto the fire, and then closes the flue of the chimney. She makes sure the windows and doors are shut, and then she goes to bed. Hours later, she wakes up, puts the damp cloth over her mouth and nose, and hastens into the living room. She opens all the windows, letting the cold morning air rush into the room and into the cabinet beside the window. Then she opens the flue, removes the fly ash from around the fireplace with a dustpan and brush, but fails to notice the fine flakes of ash in the room. Eventually she closes all the windows and calls the police. So what happened? If coal is burnt with too little oxygen in a fireplace with poor ventilation, for example, at particularly high temperatures, then highly toxic carbon monoxide develops inside of harmless carbon dioxide. The woman could no longer stand the suffering caused by her husband day after day. She brought about his hard to detect death with poisonous gas. They were such poor, miserable creatures. Watson, this is a crime scene with 2 perpetrators and 2 victims, each in their own right. But one execution is enough, wouldn't you say? Perhaps Widow Miller can live out the remaining years of her life with some semblance of peace. So there you go. He knew she had done it, but he decided that by the bruises on her face, she'd had enough, and he got his comeuppance. So there you go. That is Vlogmas December the 8th. So I'm going to love you and I'm going to leave you and I'm going to catch you tomorrow. See you. Bye.